All right, time to dive deep into prepping for that budget analyst interview. You ready for this? We've got a whole lot to cover today, starting with the career guide. Then we'll move on to the interview guides. And you know what? We even have some cool insights about RoleCatcher's AI tools. I mean, seriously, how awesome is that?
Definitely awesome. Having the right tools and knowledge in your back pocket is really going to help you impress during those interviews. So yeah, we're giving you the ultimate prep package today.
Totally. So let's break it down. You're aiming for a budget analyst role, which means you'll basically be the financial superhero of an organization, right? You'll be making sure they're spending wisely, hitting those financial targets, doing some forecasting, and oh yeah, making sure all those numbers actually add up.
Absolutely. And it's not just about crunching numbers all day long. That's like one piece of the puzzle. You need to have that eagle eye for detail. Got to be a master at analyzing things. And here's the kicker. You need to be able to explain all that complex financial stuff, but in a way that everyone understands, even if they don't speak finance.
You know, I was actually surprised when I was reading through the career guide. It talked about how budget analysts have to work with a bunch of different people. Like I knew they had to work with, the finance folks. But it also mentioned working with department heads and even project managers.
You hit the nail on the head. It's a super collaborative role. You're constantly interacting with people from different departments, different levels of the organization, and you're explaining budgets, making recommendations, and sometimes you even got to break down complex financial strategies for people who aren't exactly finance experts.
That's super interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that communication skills are so important for a budget analyst.
Communication is key. Think about it. You could be the most brilliant number cruncher out there, but if you can't communicate your findings effectively, your ideas might not get the attention they deserve.
Makes total sense. All right, let's jump into those interview questions because, let's be honest, that's what makes or breaks your chances. First up, we have a classic. Describe your experience in developing and implementing budgets. Sounds pretty straightforward, but I'm sure there's more to it than just listing out tasks, right?
You got it. Interviewers want to hear about your experience for sure, but they're looking for something specific. They want to know about your process, how you approach budgeting from start to finish. Think about those projects where you were really hands-on, where you gathered data, made projections, got everyone on board, and then tracked how things were going. It's all about showing them you can handle the whole budget cycle.
So instead of just saying, oh, I created budgets, I need to tell a story about my approach, highlight those challenges I tackled, and of course, the amazing results I achieved. Am I right?
Exactly. And be ready for those follow-up questions. Like they might throw a curveball and ask, can you give an example of a time when your initial budget projections were off? And, what did you do about it? They want to see you can adapt, you can handle those unexpected twists and turns.
Okay, so concrete examples are crucial. It's like having those ready-to-go stories that prove I'm not just talking the talk, but I can actually walk the walk. This is where RoleCatcher's AI could come in handy, right? I mean, it can help me tailor my answers to make them super specific to the job I'm applying for.
You got it. RoleCatcher can be like your secret weapon. It helps you fine-tune your answers, making sure you're hitting all the right points and showcasing your experience in the most impactful way possible.
Awesome. Okay, moving on to the next one. This question focuses on accuracy. How do you ensure accuracy and completeness in budget reports? Attention to detail, right? That's what they're after here.
Absolutely. They want to know you're a stickler for getting things right. So talk about your system, how you review data, double-check everything, and make sure nothing's missing. Mention any tools you use, like Excel or fancy budgeting software, anything that shows you're organized and have a process.
So having a system is key. That makes a lot of sense. It's not just about being careful. It's about having a structured approach to ensure everything is spot on.
Right. And they might ask about how you handle those tricky situations. Like, what if the data you're given isn't complete or accurate? What do you do then? It's all about showcasing your resourcefulness, proving that you're committed to accuracy no matter what obstacles you face.
I'm starting to notice a pattern here. It seems like these questions aren't just about knowing the right answer. They're about showcasing your process, your problem-solving skills, and how you handle those real-world challenges that pop up, when you're actually doing the job.
You're catching on quickly. All right, ready for the next one? How do you ensure that budgets are aligned with organizational goals and objectives? This one's all about thinking strategically.
This sounds like you need to understand the big picture, not just the numbers themselves.
Exactly. You got to show them you can connect those financial decisions to the overall strategy of the organization. So explain how you gather information about those big goals, how you translate them into measurable financial targets, and how you keep track of everything to make sure you're on the right path.
Okay, so it's about knowing the why behind the budget, not just the how.
I like that.
I knew you'd get it. And be prepared for that follow-up question, something like, tell me about a time you had to adjust a budget because the organization's priorities shifted. How did you handle that? They want to see how flexible you are, how you adapt to those inevitable changes that happen in any organization. Okay, welcome back to the Budget Analyst interview prep. So we just talked about some of those tough interview questions you might encounter. Now let's shift gears and talk about how you can really boost your game with RoleCatcher. Have you had a chance to check it out yet? Oh, absolutely. RoleCatcher has been a game changer for me. It's like having a personal career coach and interview guru all rolled into one. You know what I mean?
Right. It's an amazing tool that uses AI to help you prep for interviews, tailor those answers to specific jobs you're going for, and even increase your chances of getting noticed by those recruiters and hiring managers.
Okay, so let's start with interview prep. We talked about some of those tricky questions, but how exactly does RoleCatcher help me figure out how to answer them? I mean, it's one thing to know what they might ask, but it's a whole other thing to know how to actually answer them well.
So RoleCatcher actually has a gigantic library of interview questions, like over $120,000. And the cool part is you can filter them by career, by skill, or even by a specific company you're interested in.
Wow, 120,000 questions. That's a lot. But does it just give you the questions, or does it actually help you answer them?
Oh, it definitely helps you with answering them. That's one of the best parts about it. For each question, it gives you insights into what the interviewer is actually looking for. It's like reading their minds. It even suggests different ways you can approach the answer and points out those common mistakes people make. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Okay, so I can see how that's really helpful. But what about practicing those answers out loud? I mean, sometimes I feel like I know what to say in my head, but when I actually try to say it out loud, it just doesn't come out right. You know what I mean?
You're so right. Practice is key. And that's where RoleCatcher's AI feedback comes in handy. You can actually record your answers, and the AI analyzes them and tells you how you're doing. It looks at stuff like clarity, conciseness, making sure you're actually answering the question, and even whether you're using the right keywords.
That's so cool. It's like having a personal interview coach right there in my pocket. So it helps me practice, perfect my answers, and hopefully avoid those moments where I just completely blank out in the interview. But what about the bigger picture? What kind of career path can you expect as a budget analyst?
The career guide actually lays out a pretty typical path. You usually start as an entry-level budget analyst. You're assisting with things like keeping track of spending, putting together reports, and making sure everything's compliant.
Okay, so you're starting with the basics, getting your feet wet, and then where do you go from there?
From there, with some experience under your belt, you move up to a junior budget analyst. And at this level, you're taking on more responsibility. You're involved in developing budgets, monitoring how they're doing some financial analysis, and even working more closely with those different stakeholders we were talking about earlier.
Got it. So it's like gradually taking on more and more responsibility, right?
Yeah.
But what about someone who's been doing this for a while, like a seasoned budget analyst? What's their day-to-day look like?
Well, the guide highlights the senior budget analyst role as a major milestone. At that level, you're pretty much leading the charge. You're developing and implementing budget policies and procedures, overseeing the whole budgeting and forecasting process for multiple departments, and giving strategic recommendations on how to best allocate resources and optimize those costs. Pretty cool, huh?
Oh, that's super cool. You're basically shaping the financial future of the entire organization at that point.
Exactly. And what's really neat is that the guide even provides example profiles for each of those career stages. It's like getting a glimpse into what those people do, what their skills and experience are like, and even what kind of goals they have for their careers.
That's awesome. I love those real-life examples. It makes it so much more relatable.
Yeah.
But what about specializations? Are there areas within budget analysis that you can really dive deep into?
So while the guide doesn't specifically go into detail about specific niches, it does really emphasize the importance of continuous learning and professional development. So even if you don't find your niche right away, there are tons of opportunities to keep learning and growing in this field.
That's great, because I love learning new things.
Yeah.
But it also makes me think about certifications. Are there any specific certifications that would make me a more attractive candidate?
Certifications are like gold stars on your resume. They show employers you're serious about this field, you've got the knowledge, and you're dedicated to professional growth. The guide mentions a few that are super valuable, like the Certified Government Financial Manager, CGFM, or the Certified Defense Financial Manager, CDFM.
Those sound impressive.
Yeah,
So the CDFM is for government work, and the CDFM is for defense, right?
you got it. The CGFM shows you understand the ins and outs of managing public funds in government finances. And the CDFM is all about the unique challenges and requirements of defense budgeting. Both are highly sought after in their respective areas.
Okay, so those are good ones to keep in mind. But, getting certified takes time, effort, and money. So how do I know it's really worth it? What's the payoff?
Well, the payoff can be huge. Having certifications gives you instant credibility and makes you stand out in a sea of applicants. It can boost your learning potential, and it shows employers you're not just looking for a job, you're building a career.
I like that. It's an investment in yourself and your future.
Yeah.
So it's not enough to just get certified. You have to be able to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, how do I actually use those certifications to my advantage during the interview process?
Exactly. Don't just list them on your resume and call it a day. Be ready to talk about them during the interview. Highlight what you learned, how it relates to the specific job you're applying for, and why it makes you a better candidate.
So it's about connecting the dots for them, showing how those certifications translate into real-world skills and knowledge that they need.
You got it. And honestly, the process of getting certified is incredibly valuable on its own. You learn so much, you stay updated on all the latest trends, and it shows you're a lifelong learner.
Okay, back to RoleCatcher for a minute. We talked about how it helps with interview prep. But are there other ways it can help with my job search?
Oh, absolutely. RoleCatcher has this awesome feature where employers can actually find you. They can search based on skills and experience, and if your profile matches what they're looking for, they can reach out to you directly.
Whoa, that's amazing. It's like the employers are coming to me instead of the other way around. No more sending out hundreds of resumes and hoping for the best.
Exactly. It's a total game changer. And it's one of the many reasons why RoleCatcher is so popular, especially for people who are serious about advancing their careers. So what do you think? Are you ready to put all this knowledge into action?
I'm feeling super motivated. I'm
Mhm.
excited to explore those certifications and start using RoleCatcher to find those perfect job matches. I think we should probably talk more about those certifications in the next part, though. They seem pretty important.
You bet. We'll dive deep into the world of certifications and talk about how to choose the right ones for your career goals. Stay tuned.
All right, back for the final part of our Budget Analyst Deep Dive. We've talked about interview questions, RoleCatcher's awesome AI tools, career paths, even networking. Now let's talk about certifications. They seem like a pretty big deal.
You got it. Certifications are a fantastic way to show off your expertise and prove that you're committed to growing in your career. Think of them as a signal to employers that you've gone above and beyond to learn specialized skills and knowledge.
Like a way of saying, hey, I'm serious about this.
Right. Exactly. And just like, say, in martial arts, there are different levels of certification, showing different levels of proficiency. And the career guide we've been talking about mentions a few that are really well respected in this field. So let's start with the Certified Government Financial Manager, or CGFM for short.
CGFM. Okay, that one sounds pretty impressive. What's involved in getting that certification?
The CGFM is a globally recognized certification, and it's designed specifically for people working in government financial management. It covers things like governmental accounting, auditing, budgeting, and financial reporting.
So if you're thinking about a career working with public funds, this is the certification to have. Got it.
Absolutely. It shows you understand the specific rules, regulations, and challenges of government finance. Really valuable for anyone working in that sector.
Okay, CGFM for government.
Yeah.
What about the private sector? Are there any certifications that are particularly relevant there?
For sure. If you're interested in the defense industry, the Certified Defense Financial Manager, or CDFM, is a great one to look into.
CDFM, okay.
It focuses on, you guessed it, defense financial management. You'll learn about things like acquisition, budgeting, accounting, all within the context of defense organizations.
So if I'm dreaming of a career in defense finance, the CDFM is the certification I should be aiming for.
You got it. It shows you have the expertise to manage the complex financial operations of defense organizations.
All right, CGFM for government, CDFM for defense. Got it. Any other certifications that are worth considering regardless of the specific industry I'm interested in?
A couple more that are often mentioned in the guide are the Certified Public Accountant, or CPA, and the Certified Management Accountant, or CMA.
CPA and CMA. Heard of those.
These are more general accounting certifications, but they're still really valuable for budget analysts. They show you have a strong foundation in accounting principles and financial management, which are essential skills no matter what industry you're in.
Okay, so even though they're not specifically focused on budgeting, they can still make my resume stronger.
Absolutely. It's all about showing employers that you have that solid accounting knowledge, which is a must-have for anyone in finance.
Okay, so those are some key certifications to consider. But getting certified takes time, effort, it can be expensive. So how do I know if it's really worth it for me? What are the benefits?
That's a great question. Certifications definitely boost your credibility, making you a more competitive candidate. And they can also lead to higher salaries. They're a signal to employers that you're dedicated to professional growth, and you've got the skills and knowledge to excel in the role.
Got it. So it's an investment in my career.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the value of the learning process itself. When you're prepping for a certification exam, you're diving deep into the material, staying up to date on all the latest trends and best practices. It's a fantastic way to keep those skills sharp and your knowledge current.
Okay, so I've decided to go for it and get certified. But how do I actually use that certification to my advantage during the job search? I mean, I've seen people list certifications on their resumes, but is that enough?
Listing them on your resume is a great start, but don't stop there. Be ready to talk about them during your interviews. Highlight what you learned while getting certified and, this is key, explain how it applies to the specific job you're applying for.
So it's about making that connection for them, showing how those certifications translate into real-world skills and knowledge that will benefit them.
Exactly. Use your certifications to demonstrate your value, explain how your specialized knowledge can make a difference for their organization, and just show your enthusiasm for continuous learning.
Fantastic advice. I'm feeling way more confident about certifications now. They're not just letters after my name. They're tools I can use to stand out from the crowd and show employers what I'm capable of.
That's the spirit. Think of them as investments in your career that can open doors to amazing opportunities.
Well, we've reached the end of our Budget Analyst deep dive. I can't believe how much we've covered. It's been a whirlwind of information, from analyzing those job descriptions and writing killer resumes to practicing those tough interview questions, exploring the world of certifications, and of course, learning about RoleCatcher's incredible AI tools.
We've given you a powerful toolkit to help you navigate that job search and land your dream role as a budget analyst. We're confident you'll do great. Remember, preparation is key, and you've already taken a huge step by investing your time in this deep dive.
I'm so glad I did. I feel so much more confident and prepared to tackle this job search head on. I'm excited to put all this knowledge into action and see where it takes me.
Best of luck with everything. We know you've got what it takes to succeed.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey. We're rooting for you. Until next time, happy budgeting.